Well, hello there.
Hello.
I'm doing this video before the review. I have a lot more steps to do for the review. I'm not slow playing it, but I'm also not an influencer that gets paid to review something, takes it to one range session, puts 50 rounds through it, reviews it, and then never touches it again. I buy everything myself, and I'm using whatever I have. So I want to make sure that I'm giving you the most thoughtful assessment that I can possibly give you. So taking it to the range once is not acceptable for that.
Pow!
I'm also doing this video because Steiner and Jon Duffy, aka Mocha Bear from Kinetic Consulting, didn't do any kind of description on this reticle whatsoever. Design, purpose, any of that stuff. They just threw it out there with no media, no information, and even in the T6XI information booklet that comes with it, there's a stupid QR code. There's no reticle measurements, there's nothing. It's, oh, scan this code, and then it brings this up, and it doesn't tell you anything either. Zero measurements or anything like that. Just here it is. They also, because everyone's asleep at the wheel over at Steiner on this release for some reason, are giving people the wrong idea of how large the circle is at 1x. Whatever's on this image here, which is on Steiner's website by the way, is not 1x. It's 2x or 2.5x. This is 1x. This is the proper picture. I don't know where this came from, because what's in the reticle guide or whatever isn't right from Steiner. Get it together, Steiner. And the video that Jon himself uses the optic that he helped design, the cover art or whatever you want to call it, the thumbnail picture for the video he's using, has a rifle with a Vortex Razor Gen 3. So you wouldn't even know to watch that video to watch him use his T6XI that he helped design, by the way, in a video about magazine pod stabilization and shooting at distance. Ultimately a forgettable video, and you don't even know it's in there. That video's in the description. And I'm not gonna lie, if I had helped design an optic and a reticle, I wouldn't shut up about it. I'd be like, look how cool I am, I built this for everybody, enjoy it, look at this is why I designed it this way. But he and Steiner need to get their priorities straight. Talking about this on a big text podcast for a little bit and using it a little bit in a video doesn't tell anyone anything. Hence my frustration in all of the forums talking about this thing. Nobody has any reference, there's way more material on the MSR2 mill, the SCR2 mill, and there are other reticles. But for this optic, either they don't expect it to sell well, or they're just like, meh. Even the P3TR, which is in the P4XI and now the T5XI, or the old reticle that used to be in the T5XI and M5XI, they were like, oh, it's this rapid dot reticle, or oh, it's the P3TR, which gives you quick target acquisition, and they showed it on a target and all this other stuff. But not this thing. You have people who want to use it and like it. They see it and they say, wow, I really like that. It's like an EOTech at 1x or a Calais K6i or K16i, whatever. The 1 to 6 that Calais uses, but it has a T-shaped reticle in it with the circle. So it helps with reference points, and I can center it on the target faster, which I'll show you in a little bit. But with this optic, for some reason, they just threw everybody in a mud pit and told them to figure it out. I know you're a ranger, Jon, but this isn't ranger selection. It's a product. You gotta explain why you did what you did. And to be honest, I do like this thing much more than I thought I would. I'm gonna take you through the reticle as best as I understand it, which needs to be done before the review because it is a different style reticle. It takes two different types of reticles, puts them together, and honestly, a lot smarter than I initially thought. When I was looking at it, I said, man, I really like Steiner. They've treated me well, and I'm gonna give this thing a shot. And on paper, the field of view and all that stuff is great, but there's nothing on the reticle. And again, I need to continue to take this out in different shooting environments, both in the rain, out of the rain, nice sunny days, dark, and I need to take it to different ranges to get different distance input from it so I know where it excels and where it falls down. So this isn't a review, this is just based on the reticle. Although I'm going to talk about some other things as we go through it that I will talk about in the review. But anyways, best as I can tell, this reticle operates on the circle it, center it, send it philosophy. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone else use that, so I'll patent it now.
It doesn't have a trademark thing. Google has a trademark today. I bet they have a trademark. Trademark. Hello? What trademark? What is trademark?
Now I know you can say that for a lot of reticles, but this one is all about circles, not crosshairs. And not a dot per se, circles. Now there is a center dot and there is a crosshair in the center of the reticle. So yes, there technically is a crosshair, and yes, there's a dot, but there's a circle there. And what the circles do, both on 1x and 6x and in between, is help you get everything in the middle of the reticle, and then you can center it using the T-shaped reticle or the circle based on which your eye uses the best. 1x is fast and easy to transition. I've had no problems with it at all, even in this brief shooting session I took it out on. I put about 150 rounds through the gun, and I wanted to zero it with Mark III 18, and then I ran 55 through it. The circle helps put a target into a general area, and then you can fine tune it to the center. And again, not just with the dot, but the T helps with that as well. So you can, on a man-sized target, you can use the bottom part of the T to center it on the target, and then either the cross portion of the T, the top of the T, to center on the shoulders to do a holdover or whatever. It's much more intuitive than I initially gave it credit. Personally, I prefer T-shaped reticles with a dot. I like a very pronounced center dot and the T-shaped stadia to help drive me to where I gotta go. It really helps me shoot, and I really like the T-shaped reticles. Even the P4XI, you can make an argument that it has a T-shaped reticle, and the little boxes that they have on the P4XI, P3TR reticle is very smart and very quick for me. And there's a lot of guys that like it. There's a couple guys in my comments, Razor, JB, I know you changed your name, but he and I love that optic because quite frankly, it's fast and easy to use. Now with this, how they work in concert is much smarter than it appears. You look at this reticle at 1x, and you're like, okay, big circle, put it on what you want to hit. But like I said, it's a multifaceted reticle, and it does help. And you don't necessarily feel it while you're shooting, but at extremely close CQC distances from 3 to 7 yards, it's good. Even at this target, which was approximately 12 to 15 yards away from me when I'm shooting it, it was super fast. And I know it's not a B8 target, it's like a shotgun target or a long-range rifle target, shoot and see. But I just put that circle there and I was getting center hits, you know, with the appropriate drop at that distance, but I was getting the hits I wanted to get. Now I'm gonna demonstrate poorly, without a camera jig and using a GoPro, poorly lit in my room, how the reticle looks at those distances between 3, 5, and 7 yards. I don't like the scope cam resolution, the one that you plug on the back of the optic. The resolution looks very poor to me, and through the GoPro at 6x, when you compare it to John's video, so here's John's video at 6x, and then here's my video at 6x, obviously slightly different conditions, but you can just see the optical clarity with the GoPro. But my problem is I'm cheap, and I'm using the GoPro like this, and parking this corner into this part of the stock here. So bear with me, it's not gonna be great. Also, one last disclaimer, getting this lens lined up perfectly in the eye box and the spacing is difficult, so there might be a little bit of distortion. The shooter's not gonna see that distortion. I was able to move this up one section and dial out the fisheye with the diopter. I finally got it all set up and it's good now. But you can induce that with this, or if you're not looking through the optic at the proper distance. So just keep that in mind.
You're not my supervisor!
So here's 3 yards. through a GoPro on an anatomically correct side of the VTAC target. And this is without illumination, obviously. I did measure this distance with my laser rangefinder for those absolutists in the comments. Now here's with illumination just for reference. Now here's 5 yards without illumination, still pretty good. With illumination. Here is 7 yards without illumination. Please excuse the shaking. I'm an ignorant caveman and tried to power through this. This took over 30 minutes and I just wouldn't take a break. I was burning out my poor left arm. Here's with the illumination. Now to prove my point with Steiner's lazy product info, this is 1x at 5 yards, and this is 2x at 5 yards. See what I'm saying? All right, now this is a first focal plane reticle, as you can tell. However, there's 2 types of first focal plane reticles. There's zoom through and zoom in on. So a zoom in on would be like a SAI 1:6 or a Trijicon Credo 1:6 first focal plane. The problems with zoom throughs like this one, where you go through it to get to the next reticle, is twofold. One, it gets in its own way. So there's certain magnification ranges where the first ring you see in this reticle gets super thick and super large. And it starts to obstruct certain parts of your peripheral vision as you're looking through the optic. The second issue is the center of the reticle is small, which is good at 6x. But when you're lower than 6x, while the illumination is on, the ring is larger. So they are illuminated at the exact same intensity. And quite frankly, the illumination on this thing's pretty good. It may not be as bright as some people want it, but I promise you if it was aim point bright, when you see the big ring, it would absolutely give you laser corrective surgery. And when you zoom in on the small circle, it'll be very intense, but there's really not much bleeding, if any at all. It's very clean illumination. But the problem is when you have it on 5x, 4x, 3x, or even, I mean, 1 and 2x doesn't really matter, but 3, 4, and 5x, the big ring is so well illuminated that it makes the center dot look less illuminated, but it's actually identically illuminated. However, the surface area of the big circle is so much larger that it becomes distracting. And when you're looking at something that's much larger, even though it's illuminated on the same level, it doesn't make like a Call of Duty dual red dot where it's got a little tiny dot and then a ring around it, or like an EOTech. It distracts you because it's larger. So it appears that the center dot's dimmer, but it's not. And to be honest with you, I did a drill where I started at 6x at 100 yards, and I was engaging 2 steel targets where I'd hit one, transition to the other, dial the magnification down, hit one, transition to the other, dial the magnification down, hit one, transition to the other, all the way from 6x down to 1x at each stop in the magnification. And I had no problem doing it. The reticle did exactly what I wanted it to do. Now on 6x, this thing is surprisingly good. The center dot is tiny. I can't tell you how tiny it is because I can't find it anywhere, but the center dot on this reticle is perfectly sized. It does not get in the way, but you can see it clearly, which really helps me with precision and accuracy. It'll also help at longer ranges, but I have to take this thing to JTAC to find that out, so we're not gonna get there yet. More to follow. And genuinely, I thought the way the reticle was designed at 6x, it would screw me over. I think they designed it for B8s and circle steel targets, honestly, but it works great, even on silhouette targets, and even as I did that engagement drill, dialing it from 6 down to 1. At 6x, I do love the simplicity of it. I like how it's just a T shape with a circle, and there's a couple mill holes for elevation. However, it desperately wants for wind holds. I sent a trash tier paint rendering to my good friend GunDae. He laughed at me, and since he's a graphic designer, he offered to fix my caveman drawing so I don't embarrass myself. He's an excellent friend, much better than I deserve. But he made this. I genuinely think this would fix the reticle for everyone. Steiner can make a Gen 2 or the KC2 reticle or the KC1 tack whiskey for windage, so the KC1W. But LPVOs shouldn't be dialing. I know this optic specifically, because they have the never lost turret design on top, is built for that. But Steiner gave everyone the options to run a cap turret. In the box, they give you a second turret, so you could run a cap turret if you want for elevation. But they didn't give you that in the reticle. So I think to make this as versatile as possible, you incorporate this reticle that my buddy designed, cleaned up my horrible caveman drawing. You have them incorporate that and it'll fix the reticle. Don't change the illumination and don't illuminate the windage mill dots just like other reticles don't do, because it will make a bleeding issue and it'll look terrible. But my buddy did this in a couple hours. It's 2023, we use windage markings in our reticle now, which Steiner clearly knows because all of the other T6XI optics, except for this one, got a Gen 2 version of their previous reticles with, oh that's right, windage holds. Weird. And John should know this too, since he uses either Steiner optics or his beloved Vortex Razor Gen 3, which has wind holds. Massively missed opportunity in my opinion. And the more you look at this reticle at 6x, the more it... Wait a minute. That kind of looks like... Is that a Roman Catholic cross? No. In the name of God. In the name of God. Oh Lord, it is.
Tell my Lord Salahuddin that Jerusalem has come.
So they designed it, if you get attacked, you circle your problems, center them, and then send them to Jesus. How did I not see this till now? This optic is anointed.
God wills it!
Steiner, on a serious note, this is what happens when you let an ignorant caveman do your reticle description for you in application. Fix yourselves. You too, Mocha Bear. You designed the reticle. And I don't dislike John or Kinetic Consulting or anything he does. I have no ill will towards the man, and I'm not insulting him. I'm just saying this is something that should have been done. So no bad energy, no negativity or anything like that. I am kind of making fun of him a little bit, but it's all in good fun because this is work they should have done. Steiner, add windage holds to your reticle at 6x. Contact GunDae, who fixed it for you, and give him some consulting money, which he would never ask for. He's a genuinely nice guy. There's his channel in the description. This is GunDae. Great guy, great content, simple and elegant. Really nice guy. Thanks for watching. Take care out there.